Welcome back to You Revise, where we talk about everything exams. Let's look at question 4 from the 2016 exam. It reads, a 500 ml solution of dichromate ions and chromate ions at equilibrium is described by the equation below. So these are the dichromate, these are the chromate ions, and they're at equilibrium with each other. Which of the following best describes the effect of adding 10 mL of concentrated potassium hydroxide solution to the system once equilibrium has been re-established? So the question is asking us to figure out the relative change in the concentration, what happens with the concentration of Cr2O7 and the concentration of the chromate ion and the concentration of H plus ions and the overall color change of the solution. So when we're saying relative, it means compared to what it was before. Now, let's take a look at what we are adding. We're adding potassium hydroxide, and potassium hydroxide has K plus ions and OH minus ions, right? K plus ions cannot react with anything here to produce any kind of effect. So potassium ions are just spectator ions. But if you put OH ions where there are H plus ions, they are going to react H plus OH minus, producing water, which means we are going to see a drop in the concentration of H plus ions. Let's try and represent that graphically, see what happens, right? So let's assume that the concentrations are as follows. Like I said in the other questions, especially if you're just you're coming up with a hypothetical situation to try and figure out what's happening if you want to use a graph. You don't need to know the exact initial equilibrium concentrations of each of these. You could assume that the dichromate concentration was the lowest, followed by the chromate ions. This is CrO4, followed by the chromate ions, followed by H plus ions, right? If I add OH ions to this, what happens? H plus ions are going to decrease. When H plus ions decrease, we are going to gradually see, okay, let's first of all analyze this from LCP perspective, which is Le Chatelier's principle. Le Chatelier's principle says that if a change is imposed on this system which affects any component, the system will respond and try to partially oppose that imposed change to bring the system back to equilibrium. Now, so the system is going to respond by trying to replace these H plus ions, which means the chromate ions are going to increase. And at the same time, we're going to see an increase in the H plus ions. But remember, I said partially oppose the imposed change. So the H plus ions are not exactly going to go back where they were. They will increase, but they won't go back where they were initially. And then we're going to see a decrease in that. So we can say, compared to where H plus started, we can say this is a decrease in the concentration of H plus, and this is an increase, and this one is a decrease. Now, what happens with the overall color? Because we're increasing the concentration of chromate ions, the solution is going to go more yellow, if I can spell yellow. So we are looking for H plus increase or decrease. The first answer says dichromate will increase. No. This one is wrong because we have figured out that dichromate will decrease. Dichromate will decrease. Let's keep this one for now. And dichromate has no change. No, we know that dichromate decreases, right? Dichromate decreases, yes. So just after analyzing the dichromate effect here, I've managed to eliminate two answers. So I've got a 50% chance now of getting the right answer. Now let's take a look at B, the next one. We're gonna ignore the first one because it's no longer. Will the chromate increase? Yes, we can see the chromate increases. And on here, the chromate does increase as well. Now, C, I mean, H plus ions tells us that the H plus ions decrease. That's correct. This one tells us that the H plus ions increase. That's not correct because we are talking of a partial change or partial response of the system to oppose the imposed change. So this one is not going to be correct. Let's look at the next one. More yellow. Right, yes, it goes more yellow, but this one here is not correct because of that, which means D is incorrect and our correct answer is B for this question. All right, what I would just assume, because we're told 62% of candidates got this question right, what I'm just going to try and assume here is the fact that most students would have picked, some students who actually got this wrong, most of those who got this question wrong would have picked the answer D because, yeah, of what we're seeing here. Hydrogen increases, but relative to where it was before, it's a decrease. Okay, so I'm gonna finish off this one at this point, and I shall see you when you attempt the next question. Thank you once again for watching. I shall see you in the next video. I hope this video was very helpful, and I would love to hear any questions, any concerns, or anything that you think could have been done differently in this video.